I'm McKinney Smith. After going through a divorce, my sister passing away, experiencing narcissistic abuse, and some significant health scares, I realized through sharing my story that I wasn't alone in my suffering. Suffering, subjective distress generated by the experience of being out of balance. In a deep dive to holistically heal mind, body, and soul is where I discovered peace, clarity, and connection. It is impossible to be truly wise without some real-life hardship, and we cannot develop post-traumatic wisdom without making it through, and most importantly, through it together. Social connection builds resilience, and resilience helps create post-traumatic wisdom, and that wisdom leads to hope. Hope for you and others witnessing and participating in your healing, and hope for your community. A healthy community is a healing community, and a healing community is full of hope because it has seen its own people weather, survive, and thrive. Before we get into today's conversation, I want to share something that truly aligns with our mission of healing and wholeness, especially for women navigating their wellness journey. Today's episode is brought to you by Muna at ImanaHealth.com. Muna is a daily oral probiotic created by two incredible Black women doctors, designed specifically for vaginal health and immune support. It's made with vitamin D, and it is here to help women, especially those experiencing recurring yeast infections, feel balanced, strong, and empowered from the inside out. If you're ready to turn your wellness into a daily ritual, visit imanahealth.com to learn more about Muna. Because sis, healing starts within. Today's guests are the founders of Imana Health. Today we have Dr. Duate. She's a family doctor and CEO and co-founder of Imana Health, Inc., a women's health brand whose first product is a probiotic for recurring yeast infections. She has a special interest in women's sexual and reproductive health and founded Imana Health to provide women with simple, accurate, and accessible information on vaginal health and women's health topics. Her goal is to empower women to take control of their health and make informed decisions about their own bodies. We also have Dr. Nena Watson. She's a family physician in Toronto and CMO and co-founder of Imana Health, Inc. Dr. Nena has a passion for women's health, preventative medicine, and social determinants of health. In all her work, Dr. Nena strives to empower her patients and the people in her community to make informed decisions about their health and healthcare. So please welcome to the show, Dr. Nena and Dr. Duate.
Hello. Thank you.
Thank you both for agreeing to come on and share your journey with us. I find it very, what's the word I'm looking for? So I'm a very curious person. And even when I have people that I've known for a long time, or I follow them on social, or we're friends, or we're related, I always find that whenever we do this podcast, I get to know people on like such a deeper level than, how we normally converse. So I'm excited not only to jump into the conversation and learn more about your journey, your friendship, all that there is that you have to share and offer. But I just want to say thank you again, because obviously as doctors, you have very important jobs and you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here right now. So thank you.
Yes. Well,
we're exactly where we want to be.
Exactly. Where we want to be,
Love it. So I love to start the show with icebreaker questions, because I like to get an understanding of the beginning before we got to where we are presently. And because I'm very curious about how the mind works, how people work, I love to understand the childhood version of people and how it connects to who they are today. So for both of you, whoever wants to go first, I would love to know, like, what did you want to be, or who did you want to be when you were a little girl? And how does that connect to where you are now?
That's a great question. I think when I was growing up, I like to talk and I like to teach people things. And I was interested in a lot of different subjects, a lot of different, like pretty much everything was I found interesting and like cool and curious and in school. So I wasn't like someone who grew up being directly on the path, like came out of the womb with a stethoscope thinking that I was going to be a doctor right away. But I did it's something that like over through time and especially during my master's, which was in social anthropology, I became more and more interested in. So it was more kind of like I thought maybe I'd be a teacher or like, Auntie Pat
Mhm.
are related. So our shared aunt or a professor or something like that. And then over time I got to see that I had an interest in medicine and that I could incorporate my interest in teaching as well into medicine.
Love it. Love it.
Mhm.
What about you, Dr. Duarte?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I don't think I was ready for this question, but I mean, I have an answer. So, I actually grew up surrounded by I was very privileged to grow up around a lot of Black physicians. My father's a physician, and I have a lot of family friends who are physicians. So I think that's, amazing. You see it, you can do it. But I had the kind of opposite almost reaction to that. Like, because my father was a physician, so many people were like, "Oh, are you going to be a doctor like your dad?" And I was like, "I'm my own person. I think for myself. Why isn't anyone asking me if I'm going to be a teacher like my mother?" Right? It was always, "Will you be a doctor?" So I kind of very much rejected the idea of medicine for most of my childhood and adolescence. So I thought of anything else. I was also the last year to do OAC in high school, so I had a lot of time
Mm.
to do a lot of different courses, right? So I did law. When I did law, I was like, I'm going to be a corporate lawyer. I just want to wear pantsuits and swipe myself into a tall building. I'm like, I did accounting, so I want to be an accountant for a hot second. I wanted to be a concert pianist, and I grew up playing piano. I wanted to be an architect because, who amongst us doesn't want to be an architect at some point? So I really wanted to be everything. And it wasn't until kind of the end of high school, going into university, that I did finally settle on the idea that the way in which I wanted to impact people in my life was through medicine. So it was, it was a fight because I really was like, no, I fought so hard to not just mirror my father, how unoriginal, but I'm like, I think this is the way that I do want to make a difference in this world. So that was how I ended up in medicine, despite trying very hard not to.
Okay, okay. I mean, so for me, I'm always trying to like connect the dots, and it seems like you both had this feeling, this internal push or pull to help others, to like serve in some sense, which is great.
Mhm.
So tell us about the origin of Imana Health. Like, what inspired two Black women, two best friends, two, family doctors to create something so personal yet so powerful?
Absolutely. So, you know, Nina and I think in terms of just our background, we met on the first day of medical school, one of four Black medical students in our class of 220. And over the years, we've had different but similar journeys, both ended up in family medicine. And then several years into practice, Nina had her family practice at St. Mike's. I also was in my family practice, and I also work in a sexual health clinic. And I've worked there a couple shifts a week or one shift a week for years. And the number of patients I kept seeing who were just like, what else can I take besides these antifungal pharmaceutical medications for yeast infections? What other options are there for bacterial vaginosis? So really common, infections that cause a lot of discharge. People can be really uncomfortable. And people were literally being like, what probiotic can I take? Like, this is not even something that like we created out of nowhere. It was a question that people were asking over and over for years. And so, I'd give them a couple of brand name recommendations, but they weren't targeted to those specific infections. They were just probiotic, like you could try this. It's not targeted for vaginal health, but it won't hurt. Maybe it'll help. And then, if I started talking to Nina, I'm just like, if we don't have a good option to give people, why don't we just do it ourselves? And, Nina is a very good friend. We was just like, sure, girl, let's start this entrepreneurial, very expensive venture together. I think that speaks to the depths of this friendship because not many people would embark on this incredibly difficult, like very challenging and very expensive journey with me. So I give nothing but like respect and obviously tons of love for Nina for being as crazy as I am. I think she would say, she might use the word crazy. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but possibly. So, we started reaching out to manufacturers. We got our COO on board, denying Lignati. So I've worked with her at the sexual health clinic for years. And we just, we got it together because we're like, we really just want to give the people what they've been asking for. And it was really important for us as well, number one, to have only one strain of probiotics. So there's so many products on the market that have tons. And I think as physicians, we're really used to the idea that you want to have one solution for a problem. So like if you have something wrong with you, I'm going to prescribe you one thing. I'm not going to prescribe you 5 things. And then I'm like, which one worked? Which one caused side effects? I don't know. So instead, let's find the best possible strain for this problem for yeast infections. And then let's also combine vitamin D because we do know that vitamin D deficiency linked to many things, but also recurrent yeast infections, especially in Black women. And being in Canada, who has enough vitamin D unless you're taking supplementation, right? So that was kind of the ideation of the product, of the business, and then also creating social media content, right? It's really obvious. There's so much misinformation online. I had so many patients coming in being like, they get all my information from TikTok and they tell me what they were learning. And I'm like, girl, no, so it's really important to us as we were kind of going through the process of getting our product licensed by Health Canada, which took, a long time and getting through all the steps that we were just putting out really accurate evidence-based social media content for the many people who, this is the main way they're getting their information and also who don't have access to a family doctor or a healthcare practitioner. So yeah, I'll let you.
Yeah, well, I think you summarized that pretty comprehensively. Yeah,
including being crazy. Yes.
Yeah, it was mid pandemic, and this gave us an opportunity to try something new, and something I personally like. If it wasn't for Duate, I would not be. I wasn't someone who had the most entrepreneurial spirit, but like the excitement, her excitement was palpable. And it was also, just something to engage another part of my brain that, especially when, during the pandemic, working as a physician through it was, challenging. And there was, kind of a lot of darkness around, our work. So it gave me at least, a point of levity and, fun and another way to use our skill set.
So I love how you guys have created a solution for a problem that you found in your industry. But I also love like just thinking about one, yes, okay, it's during the pandemic, you're dealing with all these other things. I know as maybe that's part of something within our family, Nina, but like my brain needs to be going and doing something all the time. But you're saying it gave like your brain, another thing to focus on, to do, to learn. But then also I love in terms of friendship, like running a business with your best friend, launching a business that is, providing a solution to other women of color. I'm thinking about like, I'm sure there are ups and downs, that come with any form of business, but like working a business with your friend who's also a doctor, your friend who's also a woman with hormones and like all the things. I guess let's talk about any challenges you have had to overcome since starting Imana Health in terms of not only the friendship, but the industry, being women of color, all those things, because you talked about even in, was it class when you said there, you were one of like there are 4 Black people in, 240 people. I can totally relate because when I decided to get into personal development and I was training under Bob Proctor, and I'm in a room with all of the coaches from around the world, and sometimes I was one of 3 Black people in a room of 200, sometimes one of 2, sometimes one of 1. So I totally get it. So I would love if you could speak to like some of the challenges that you guys had to overcome.
Well, I think to start, what like Duarte said, when we met literally on the first day of orientation week in medical school, and by the end of the first week, people thought that we had been best friends and forever, and had decided to come to the same school together. So it was just I feel very lucky that I was able to find and develop such an important, close friendship with someone, very quickly in medical school. And throughout school, throughout residency, throughout just like our lives since 2009, we Duarte has been my best friend through it all. And I trust her so much. And I want to celebrate and support her in any way, anything that I in any way I possibly can, and anything that she does. And so, despite not having any experience in entrepreneurship or in like product development or in marketing or really in any of at all business, in except for perhaps the like one course I took in high school, I really I jumped in headfirst in because I thought what a cool thing for us to do together. But that has led us to some of the challenges we've faced, which I'm sure Duarte you can speak to as well, is the fact that we didn't have any expertise in many of these areas. So there have been a lot of growing pains, which have been learning experiences and stuff where like in hindsight you're like, oh, if I had done something another way, that could have saved us time, energy, money, or what have you. But now we know better and can can proceed in with a more educated perspective.
Mhm. Love that. Okay, so as Black women doctors, how has your lived experience in the medical system shaped the way that you serve women?
Yeah, I think women, especially, I would say specifically Black women, when or I would speak for Nina as well, but I think she probably has the same experience. When I access medical care, let's say I go to the emergency department or I see a doctor who isn't my own family doctor, that person doesn't know I'm a family doctor, right? So, and I don't tell people. So when I'm accessing care, you are treated as a Black young appearing, I mean, I like to think I look young appearing woman, right? And oftentimes, I know Nina has been with me for at least one of those occasions, oftentimes that experience is not good, right?
Mhm.
I can imagine being in a hospital emergency department and the way I was treated, we were both appalled as family doctors. So I think that shapes every interaction I have, frankly, with anyone, but especially people of color and women of color, like, hands down, because unfortunately, we're so used to being treated kind of like inferiorly or having these assumptions, made about us. And this is not something I'm just saying, like, this is something I've experienced as well,
Yep.
right? Because I moved through the world as a Black person. I just happen to be a doctor, but you can't tell, I'm not wearing a stethoscope when I moved through the world, right? So whenever I'm seeing patients, it's very much from a non-judgmental, there's absolutely no assumptions whatsoever about anything. You can't look at a person and assume a single thing about their experience. You have to ask them. So I think that listening is a huge part of an interaction with any patient. And, I think that unfortunately our healthcare system is not set up in a way that really facilitates the ability to listen as much as you would like. These 50-minute appointments, in my practice, and I think Nina's as well, like we don't do the one issue thing because multiple issues, sometimes they go together. Like sometimes the third one's the most important, or there could be 7 issues. So our healthcare system isn't really set up in a way that I think facilitates the best possible care for women and especially women of color. So it's trying to find ways to, within this system, have a more holistic approach, see the person as a holistic being, and recognizing all the different parts of them that are going to impact their health and are impacting their health. So, definitely being trauma informed, listening, non-judgmental, those are definitely things that I incorporate in my practice and try to remember whenever I'm speaking to any patient, but
Mhm.
especially women of color.
Thank you.
I totally agree, Duate, and I echo everything that you say, and just kind of want to like highlight how you know important it is to recognize that women that look like us and who present like us in medical interactions, have been dismissed have had their concerns dismissed or minimized for so long, which has, unfortunately led to negative outcomes in many situations. And that when I do see patients who are Black women or women of color or anyone who, from a historically and traditionally marginalized group, I kind of laid the foundation of, I get it. Like, I understand that. I'm here to actually listen to you and try to, level the playing field and create a safer space. And it's amazing how much more of a therapeutic alliance you can create and how much more you can be you can actually help when that stage is set and everyone, it feels comfortable with actually sharing how they're feeling.
Mhm. Knowing how women of color and Black women are treated in the medical profession, what challenges have you both had in creating something that's both clinical and culturally relevant in a space that typically overlooks Black women's needs?
I think for me, this endeavor has kind of been my way of kind of decolonizing healthcare for myself and figuring out what is my future in healthcare going to look like
Mhm.
um, within this system, but trying to create kind of my own system. So, this product, what we're doing online, just presenting ourselves like we are Black female doctors, we're online. Tons of people in the comments are like, never seen a Black doctor in Canada, didn't know you existed. Right. So I think number one, representation, so powerful. But then, my end goal with all of this, which I don't think I mentioned before, I'm not sure if it was in the questionnaire, like I do want to eventually have like a women's sexual health clinic in a predominantly Black area in the GTA, right? Staffed by women of color and not just physicians. So having also nurses, nurse practitioners, maybe like other allied health that could
Mhm.
fully support women of color, especially Black women as a whole. And I think that just by kind of entering this more natural product space, that is part of our, step into that decolonization of medicine. Like a lot of, not a lot, but there are some physicians who kind of poo-poo probiotics, right? Like probiotic, or like something you take by mouth, how does it affect the vagina, whatever. And the research, unfortunately, just isn't as robust as pharmaceuticals because the studies are smaller. They don't have the billions of dollars to put into like the products and studying them. But we anecdotally have had people have really, really good effect. We know probiotics work. Sure, the studies are smaller, but people are finding them helpful. And we know that there are so many natural products. Mother Earth has given us so much that benefits us, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of us, like from indigenous cultures, whether you're indigenous to like wherever in the world you're from, like for me, my family's Nigerian, there are these traditional practices that have been pushed to the side because of colonization and because of, you know, the patriarchy and all these different systems and within which we're working. So I think this for me has been kind of a reconnection with traditional practices, more natural things that we know have worked. People have been doing some of these things for centuries, right? For longer than pharmaceuticals have been around. So for me, that's kind of how I'm moving within the system, but kind of trying to incorporate these more holistic, rooted in my ancestry practices.
Mhm. So two things. One, you mentioned, the anecdotal stories of it working and such. So the week that I received my package from you guys, I just happened to have to be on antibiotics that week. And I haven't had antibiotics in years. And um, can I just say that your product saved my life because and the
Yes.
antibiotics,
Yes.
I I couldn't tell you the last time I had a yeast infection, and the antibiotics killed me. And
Mhm.
I was started taking the probiotics, and within a couple of days, I was like, "Oh, thank God."
Mhm.
Yeah.
This works. It works. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah.
See, there are no coincidences. You got the product when you needed
When
it.
you needed
Yeah,
it. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
I think it's perfect.
Okay. I would love to talk about the meaning of the name Imana. Like, what does it
Mhm.
represent for each of you, personally, spiritually?
Mhm. Yeah, so Imana is the word goddess in the East African Kenya-Rwandan languages. So that's like Burundi, Rwanda. And the idea around choosing that name is that, this whole venture is about empowering women to really reconnect with their goddess energy. Like women, we are goddesses, we are queens, we are like magnificent beings. And so that is why we chose that name, and also why our packaging and all of our branding is purple. So purple also representing, royalty, like just wanting women to kind of feel almost like a luxurious experience. Like
Mhm,
you are so deserving of all good things. And
mhm.
just like you're a goddess. And the reason why someone was like, oh, but none of you are from, those areas. And the idea around choosing a word from countries that aren't where we're from is that, you know, it's not like we're just choosing like a Nigerian word or Nina's Jamaican, Denai's Jamaican and Zimbabwean. Like, let's just choose something that not one of us will have ownership over this name. Like, it's kind of removed from us. It's still the diaspora, but it's, African, Kenya, Rwanda goddesses. That's what I mean. I
Love it.
can't, it's hard to articulate,
Yeah.
but just like when you see a name or you hear a word and you're just like, this is it.
We
It's
knew it.
almost hard. You just know, right? It's hard to even articulate fully why that specific word just had so much meaning. But I mean, the meaning of the word for sure, but just like hearing it and seeing it, I'm like, this is perfect.
I
And that
love
was it.
it. What about you, Nina?
Yeah, well, we came to the decision quite organically, like Duarte was just saying, and the idea that our product, people, if they look up the meaning of the name and they see that it means goddess and like can feel that they're reflected in that is so important and something that we wanted to share with the people who use our product. And just, as Duarte was saying, the idea that like you're worthy of taking care of yourself and like, you deserve to have health and good health and whatever that means for you. And if it means that, you can take something that can help you with a problem that you've been struggling with that many people are sometimes embarrassed to talk about or feel uncomfortable talking about, that's kind of, we wanted to just have a little like, wink and nod to all of that.
I love it. I love the packaging. Anyone who knows me or follows my brand knows I'm obsessed with all things purple. All of my book covers have purple, so I love the purple packaging, and I love the meaning. When I was doing like some research on the brand, and it's like I guess maybe for me I had an automatic understanding, not only because of my love for, the color purple and royalty and the feeling of luxury and all those things, but so we kind of briefly mentioned in the beginning that Dr. Nina and I are related. We're cousins. So her mom and my dad are siblings. My father, Rastafarian, and many of his children have African names. So my name, Makini, is Swahili for strength of character. So when you talked about like the, where you came up with the name and it not necessarily being like where you're from, but it's really like our roots, our history, our ancestry. So I love the whole not just the meaning and the visuals and, those things, but I love the entire, what's the word I'm looking for? Like all the layers of the product, the brand, I love personally.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We love to hear it.
I would also like to know, like, were there moments where imposter syndrome crept in for each of you? Because, Nena, you talked about, not having the entrepreneurial background and how things were like new for you. So it's, a learning curve. And I know, like, anytime we're starting anything new, there's, that season of that area of discomfort. So for each of you, like, were there moments of imposter syndrome? How did you find your way back to, the purpose of who and what you wanted, like who you are, what you wanted to do?
So yeah, that's a great question. I think imposter syndrome for me, there were definitely times when I felt it because like, I really didn't have the background or experience in business at all. But I think that I'm fortunate enough to have such a strong support system and have had such strong female role models that have said, you belong in any space that you step into, and that you may need to create a space at the table, but there is one there for you. So kind of falling back on that support has been really helpful in times when I've thought, oh, you look around and you think, is this something that I can actually do? Is this something I can actually succeed in?
Love it. I and again, maybe I'm biased because we're related, but I love
Exactly.
I love
Yes, we do have strong role models in our family.
yes, there are such strong women in our family, like it's in the blood. The level of support, like I have been blessed to have like even a group of friends that I've been friends with for over 30 years, and we stay connected and we still hang out together. And when I tell people that, they're shocked that I'm, still close friends with people from high school or even elementary school. So it's another thing where, there's also the stigma that, there isn't support in Black families or any of those things. And I'm just beyond honored and like, I don't know, it's just joy to hear from someone else in the family that, the strong sense of support, the encouragement, the empowerment, the uplifting. It's not only beautiful to experience, but to know that it's throughout the family. So yeah.
And well, obviously you're part of that too, right?
Yeah.
You can give yourself a pat on the back.
We can all give each other pats on the
Yeah,
back.
exactly.
I
But I think also,
Go ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say, I think also, even outside of our immediate supports, the number of especially Black women and men who are like so willing to give up, volunteer their time and resources to provide help or assistance in any way has been truly astounding. Like again, imposter syndrome all day, every day. We're not business people. We went to medical school, right? And you don't get no business training in medical school. There should be business training because you are running a practice, but there is not, or there was not when we were there. So, I think for me, especially in trying to overcome imposter syndrome, I was reading a lot of business books, like just reading as much as I could, listening to podcasts, but also just reaching out for mentorship opportunities. But anyone, all the Black women I've encountered who are in the business space in the last few years, the number of people who are just like, yes, let's jump on a Zoom for 2 hours, let me tell you some marketing stuff. We've had so many women, especially, just so willing to help us in any way that they could. So I think that's been such a blessing in the last couple of years. And, we're all dealing with some imposter syndrome, but I know that we're all incredibly intelligent women. We can figure things out. There are no mistakes, only lessons. So, sure, we're not imposters. We're learning. We're on a journey, and what is life? It's a journey. So it's been
Absolutely.
an amazing experience.
And see, I love to hear that as well, where, you're saying people in the industry itself have just been supportive. I love when women like yourself come on and kind of dispel some of the myths that are out there, because people are like, oh yeah, women are catty, they don't get along, or there's competition within business here or there, or what have you. And it's one thing for me to say, yeah, I've experienced a lot of support, hence why I'm so open to, giving back and supporting, and why I'm on so many different organizations' boards as a mentor, because I believe that we shouldn't have to deal with all the pitfalls in business, on our own. If someone else has experienced something and they can help you, skip that pothole, or give you some tools and resources to help you thrive in your business quicker, like, that's what we're here for. It's community, right? So I love to hear that you're also being supported in that way. I guess if you could redefine what healthy looks like for Black women, what would be different?
That's a tough question. Okay, well done. I guess
I
one
think
thing.
that I would.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ina.
One thing I would say is that I I just like, I say this to my patients, and I hope this for my friends and my family, that people, whatever their definition and whatever, they feel like they want to achieve, is that they feel like they deserve to have that, and they deserve to like feel good. They deserve to feel, content. They deserve good things. And, I think that coming from that place of like knowing that you deserve to have the good things in life, and whatever that looks like for you, is something that many people, that I meet, don't necessarily have that same sense. And for me, it kind of starts there. And then, you can kind of, when you feel that for yourself, it to me is easier to like reach whatever goal it is that you're striving for.
I agree. What about you, Duate?
Yeah, I think if I was going to redefine health for Black women, it would just be joy. Like, I think joy in your body, joy spiritually, joy emotionally. And that could be, like Nina said, like that could be completely different for different people. But for me, I think the purpose of our lives, like on this earth, is contentment and happiness. And so if you can achieve that, then I think that you're healthy. And it might be, measured by different metrics, by,
Yeah.
Western medicine, but if you feel joyful, you are healthy in my book.
Mhm.
What's interesting? So, like, over the years, so I've been an entrepreneur for over 15 years, and I've been in the personal development space since, no, I can't even remember what year it was. Um, okay, well, I can't remember the year, but anyways, being able to study different cultures, different backgrounds, mindset, and all these different things. So something that you both said that clicked for me is like, when we are helping people to feel good and to feel joy and to understand that they deserve to feel a certain way. When we talk about, whether we talk about it from a religious sense with spirituality, or whether we talk about it from an energy sense with vibration, when we are on a high vibration, that's feeling good, right? But when you're on a high vibration, you are able to not only manifest things quicker, but we attract what we're in harmony with. We're like magnets. But that low vibration, the feeling that we feel in our body when we are feeling anxious, or the sweaty palms, or the increased heart rate, that is your body in distress, right? So that is your body in disease. So when we're feeling low, we're not healthy, but when we're feeling happy, we're healthy. So it was like, as you were both speaking, that just connected for me with those things. But anyways.
Mm. Yeah, that resonates with you.
Okay,
Yeah, I would
so
say that, and I would add, healthy vitamin D levels as well, because All of us Black women are so deficient. So yes, that too. But everything
What
you
kind of
said,
vitamin D? No.
and also getting your vitamin D however you get it, because we all need it, especially living in Canada.
I agree.
Yes.
Okay, so 10 years from now, how do you want Imana Health to be remembered? Like, what kind of legacy are you building with Imana Health?
Well, I would say it won't be remembered because it would still be here. So I see Imana Health, doing amazing things. So multiple different products. We're currently working on our next one, the clinic, like I mentioned. So the idea being like this right now, what we're doing is like the for-profit side and the clinic being the not-for-profit side and, impacting the lives and providing kind of holistic, culturally sensitive care to predominantly Black women in an area in the GTA, maybe Scarborough, we'll see. And I think that just impacting the lives of so many women, both locally, also globally, through our social media, just having people remember that they too can be Black physicians if they would like to be, just for that representation, and just, helping women, especially Black women, achieve joy.
Love it. And thank you for correcting me because words matter.
Mhm.
Okay, so for women who are listening, who maybe keep getting, I don't know, yeast infections or feeling frustrated or ashamed, what would you want her to know?
There's nothing to be ashamed of, right? This is something that happens to many, many, many women's bodies. And that, if you look around a room, the vast majority of women in that room would have had an yeast infection either before or will have one. So, like just kind of getting that shame piece out of the way, because it really hampers, us being able to tackle any issue. So that first. And then also like knowing that there are products that you can try to help rebalance the, vaginal microbiome, the environment of the vagina, and whether it's recurrent yeast infections or kind of discharge that you find to be problematic, that there are solutions and there are things that you can do to help improve whatever it is that you're experiencing. So, to talk to someone about it, talk to your healthcare provider, talk to your friends, see what people are trying, and to not feel like it's a lost cause, because there's lots to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the main thing to do, obviously, being trying our Muna probiotic available at imanahealth.com. Because
Absolutely.
Yeah.
it has the strain that prevents yeast infections, and it has the clinical evidence of that as well. So that woman, you don't need to suffer. That's what I would tell her. You don't need to suffer. Don't feel shame, like Nina said. There's no need for shame.
Yeah.
Love it.
And also, so we add, like, the whole reason we added the vitamin D is because vitamin D has such an important role in our immune system regulation, along with, a million other things. So just, finding a product that targets, the elements of, like, you know, of the issue that you're trying to address, something that's like specific for it, and that could actually, it help to just solve it.
Love it. Love it.
Yes.
Okay, so what is one daily practice, medical or spiritual, that you swear by for your wellness?
I would say
I don't-
exercise for me. I'm like, I really like running, and I've gotten more recently more into like strength training, but some form of exercise to, move your body, feel good in your, like, allows me, for example, to feel good in my body, but also, after a workout, the nice, kind of feel good hormones that are circulating. I just, I could start the day feeling maybe uninspired and unmotivated, and after a run, feel so much more ready to tackle whatever is out there for me. So I would say that is something that I need to move my body every day, and by doing so, I've really, it's really helped me.
Movement is medicine.
Hmm. Definitely. Yeah, I think, I've definitely become much more spiritual in the last couple of years. So, in terms of spiritual practices, definitely daily journaling. So, I journal every day. And then gratitude practices. So, kind of the things that the things that people say you should do for happiness, I'm putting into practice. So, 3 things I'm grateful for every day, including in my daily journaling, and meditation. I have found meditating just so life changing in terms of reducing stress, anxiety. I'm much less irritated by people when I
Mhm.
meditate daily. So I think that is a huge one. And I've gone to a couple of retreats, like silent retreats in the last couple of years and some BIPOC ones. So it's just, yeah, the wellness is vastly improved in the last couple of years.
Love it. Love it. Okay, what is one belief that you have had to shed in order to fully own your role as healers, founders, visionaries?
I think for me, and I alluded to it earlier, like the idea of mistakes or failures. You know, I've very much on this journey shed the idea that anything is a mistake. Like there's some things that we've done, like, oh, we got to do this thing, now to pay an extra several $1,000s, right? It seems like a mistake. And like in hindsight, we should have done this differently. But at the end of the day, it's something that we learned from. So I very much have shed the idea of mistakes or failures and just think of everything as a lesson and something that just helps in our journey of discovery.
Love it. What about you, Nina?
I would say that there's any limit on, what it is that you can do when you have, passion or an excitement. It might seem scary to like step outside of whatever it is that is your comfort zone, but that, you know, that should for me, that is like it gave me this push, opened up a whole new area that I didn't think was accessible to me. And then just more broadly, it's made me kind of look around and say, like, there may be other areas that I thought I couldn't enter, other rooms I thought I wouldn't belong in, or spaces I wouldn't feel comfortable in. But by having taken this huge leap and seeing that I could do it, I now feel more confident to try other new things. So
Love it. Love it. Like I try to tell my kids this who used to be very particular about what they would try. You don't know unless you try it, right? Like being open to trying different things so that we can say, yeah, no, I didn't like that. Oh, I loved that. I didn't think I was going to like that. Let's try this. Love it. Love it. If you could leave every woman listening with one truth, one sacred reminder, what would it be?
this is adapted from Peloton. And one of the I'm a huge Peloton fan. But and Duate actually made me a Peloton quote calendar last year for my office, and it was amazing. But anyhow, so the idea is that you're both a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time, and
Mm.
it's okay to be both and to recognize both. On one of my Peloton runs, someone said that to me, and I literally had to like stop, like get off of the running path, write it down, because I'm like, I can't forget this one. And I actually say it, like, and I say it to myself and I say it to my patients and all the time, because, sometimes it just like, it's important to remind yourself that, just the way you are is amazing and perfection. But that doesn't mean that we can't strive to be a bit better the next day.
Love it.
I almost forgot the question. I was so into the answer. Um, yeah, I think if I was going to leave women with a message, I would say, the human existence and life on this earth is hard, but I think I just want all women to remember that you are here for a reason and you're doing your best, and that's enough.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Well, I would love if you could tell the listeners where they can stay connected with you, where they can learn more from you, about you, your socials, the products.
Absolutely. So we are at Imana Health. So it's Imana Health for people who remember the model Iman. Let me not age myself. It's like her name with an A, the health. And then on our socials, so Instagram and TikTok, where we post the most, it's at Imana Health, all one word, lowercase. And especially on our website, we do have like an About Us section. So that has a lot of information about our journey and developing the product and information about the product. So right now we just have the one probiotic, the Muna probiotic that we mentioned for recurrent yeast infections with one strain of probiotic and vitamin D. But other products coming soon. So definitely look out for that. We also have an email newsletter that you can join through Imana Health. And we do a lot of like health information, like women's health information, discount codes, that kind of thing. So a lot of valuable information there as well. Yeah, I think those are the main places to find us. But if anyone has any like questions, they can also email us at info@imanahealth.com. And we're happy to connect with you. If the question is if we're accepting new patients, unfortunately, at this time, we are not, because we get that question a lot. One day, but not right now.
Thank you. I will have all of your links in the detailed section of the episode so they can just click and connect directly. They can click and purchase directly. They don't have to search too far.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you both, Dr. Nena and Dr. Duate, for taking the time to join us, for sharing energy and space with us today. I truly, truly appreciate you both.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was so lovely to speak with you.
Thank you. If this episode stirred something in you, if it reminded you that you are worthy of care, balance, and joy, then take one more step today towards that healing. Muna by Imana Health was created by today's guests, Dr. Nena and Dr. Duate, two women, Black women, doctors who understand our bodies, our rhythms, and our challenges. It's a probiotic and vitamin D blend made specifically for vaginal health and immunity. Just one capsule a day, dairy-free, gelatin-free, travel-friendly, and you're showing up for your wellness with intention. Muna isn't just a supplement, it's a daily declaration that your body deserves support. Visit imanahealth.com and explore what healing from the inside out really looks like. Because here at Heal Her, we believe healed women heal women. I just want to thank each and every one of you that continues to listen each week to help the show rank globally in the top 1.5% of podcasts out there. If today's episode resonated with you, please subscribe, rate the show, leave us a review on Apple Podcast. Join our community of healers by signing up for our weekly newsletter at mckinney-smith.com. You can also grab any of my personal development books available online everywhere. I want to challenge you to think of at least two women that would benefit from today's conversation and share it with them. Someone out there needs to hear this episode. You can screenshot this episode and tag us on Instagram at Imana Health and at The Real McKinney Smith. And let's keep this conversation going. A healthy community is a healing community, and a healing community is full of hope. So let's continue to heal her.